Hello, everyone, and welcome to this New Year's edition of our NAAP News Now Facebook Live. My name's Elisa Tagg, and I am the Association Director with the National Association of Activity Professionals. I'm so excited to be with you in the new year. Happy New Year 2022. And our first guest for this year is Dennis Berkholtz with NSL Games. Dennis, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm getting better as the year grows past 10 days.
Isn't that great? That's a great feeling. Thank you so much for being with us today, Dennis. I know Knapp and you have had a long-standing relationship over the last several years with NSL Games. And so why don't you just tell those of us that are new, that don't maybe know a little bit more about you, why don't you share with us just a little bit more about yourself and your background?
I actually grew up in Wisconsin, went to school at Kansas State. I think that's pretty close to where you are. And had a business life in Atlanta, and now I'm living in Jacksonville, Florida. I started the National Senior League 12 years ago. We've been operating. And I started it with my parents in a senior community back in 2008 when they really didn't have much to do. I think the activities really picked up around 2010, 2012, and now I believe seniors are active in communities and senior centers, et cetera, for long and good exercise and activities. Back when I was walking through my parents' home, all they were doing at that time with really good quality people were putting together puzzles and playing bingo. And after visiting them a couple times and being at my friend's house in Oklahoma City, he introduced me to the Wii game, and we played Wii golf and Wii boxing and Wii bowling. And I just had the idea there, the concept there, that the seniors could very easily be Wii bowling and play Wii golf as well. At that time, I didn't know that Nintendo had already stepped up a Wii bowling program. They had just started it a year before or something, so people were more aware of it than I was. But that's how this whole thing got started. I just had a vision that playing Wii bowling would be a lot of fun in the communities. I've got an extensive athletic background, so I kind of know how to put these tournaments together. And I played in not Wii bowling, but a lot of golf tournaments and similar stuff where you structure a tournament, play for 6 or 8 weeks, and crown champions. So that's how that started. I raised $125,000, hired a couple guys to find me some teams. And we started with, I think, about 50 communities playing. And pre-COVID, we had more than 100 communities playing with 300 teams was about where we maxed out. Now with COVID, we're down to about half of that. But we're still functioning. We still crown champions, and everybody's still having fun. So I'm real happy, and staying with this is a lot of fun, and it makes me feel good. And I think it does a lot of good things for seniors as well.
I love that, Dennis. And I know you talked about your extensive sports background. Why don't you share just a little bit about that and what your history with sports are, if you don't mind?
I played basketball at Kansas State. I was a good athlete, and played 3 years there when you could only play 3 years. I played golf at Kansas State. I was a good athlete in high school too, of course. I got in the Army and I learned how to play this new sport called team handball, which wasn't played in the States. I was invited to a tryout up in New York. I was actually the first U.S. guy to learn how to play this sport, and it turned out to be an Olympic sport. And thus, I was an Olympic athlete in Munich in 1972, and I coached the U.S. team in 1976. I'm still somewhat affiliated with it. My friend Kimberly Graham and myself started or helped organize the beach handball, which is now a big time sport around the world.
Mhm.
So I try and stay involved, but I got a couple business ventures, and I got this Wii bowling league going pretty good. I want to grow the league now. It's my goal to get back up to 100 communities and 300 teams if we can do that. But all this emulated from being an athlete at one time and having parents that were in senior communities. And I'm happy to be doing what I'm doing.
I love that. So, it's awesome to be talking to an Olympian right now, and as we get ready for the Winter Games here coming up in the next couple of weeks too, and how to spotlight that and understand the importance of athleticism at any level. And I think that is such a neat thing about the we experience that each of us can learn from you with the NSL games. So tell us a little bit more. What does NSL stand for? And maybe a little bit more about how the program works, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. I'd like to talk about it. It's the National Senior League. I got the name from one of my investors. We trademarked it and copyrighted it, and we're hot and heavy with it. Basically, it's a Wii bowling league. One of the things I'm most proud of is more recently we became an e-sport, which I think I got to market much better in the senior communities, because it's pretty exciting that seniors can actually participate in e-sports. And esports, of course, are any game that played on the internet. And generally, those games are internationally with anybody around the world. And my hopes within the next 4 or 5 years is to get this to be an international league. But basically, a community pays a registration fee for three or less teams. It's $200. For more than 3 teams, it's $250. You have 4 to 8 bowlers on a team, and each week for 7 weeks, they bowl in a conference. I put all the teams in conferences of 8 teams. They play each team in their conference one time, 2 matches a week. They play in their own communities, which is one of the strengths of the NSL, because you don't have to travel, you don't go outside the community. And then they play 4 bowlers bowl, and whatever they roll, their coach, who is an activity director who puts together the whole team or teams, they post the scores online on Thursday night. And Friday morning, I click my little button here and it tabs up all the statistics, both individually and for teams. And everybody sees whether they won or not. And after 7 weeks, we crown what we say conference champions. We generally have, depending on the number of teams in the league, let's just say 20 conference champions. They all get certificates of accomplishment. And then we go into our playoff, take the playoffs by averages of all the bowlers, and you put them in 7 divisions based on levels of ability. And they run we have Wii bowlers bowling 290s, 280s averages, but there's 7 divisions. The lowest division is 140 average and below. So it's really the beginners, those in wheelchairs, or those that can't quite play the way the better bowlers play. And then we give really nice awards out to the 7 national champions, crown them as national champions, and to their runner-ups. So it's quite successful. What bowlers really like to do this. Unfortunately, I haven't had enough dollars to market it correctly, or market it as well as I wish I could around the U.S., because we should have 300-400 communities playing. There's one guy once told me there's 50,000 senior communities around, which makes an awful lot of Wii bowlers, or giving them the opportunity to Wii bowl. And we crown champions. And the good things about it is that, as coaches tell me, that it requires their senior residents to be someplace. It gives them something to do on a certain time. They also make new friends. They like that a lot. They compete against teams from around the U.S. They like that a lot. Some of them don't like the competition, so they just bowl for fun, which is great. And I have probably out of 150, 200 bowlers who really care, and they train for this. They bowl 2 or 3 times a week, and they're very competitive. And then the scoring system of the NSL is all on the honor system. So I got to keep my coaches making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is playing two games a week, and they have to identify the games that they're bowling in the NSL. In other words, you can't bowl 6 games and take your best 2 scores and post them. And that's working well. It took me a couple of years to weed out the people who didn't follow the rules. And I don't have any problems now with the honor system. I think maybe after 3 or 4 years, as I said, we had some issues, but I follow the results every week. I know who's bowling what and where. I've made some good friends who are the activity directors or the coaches in the league. And we talk 2 or 3 times a year, keep in touch. Regularly, I have about 50 communities that bowl. And pick up another 20 or 30 on the side that come in new, and they may like it or may not. Puts a little pressure on the activity director to be responsible, to have another activity that they're responsible for. I'd like to see more activity directors name some of their residents as coaches and take over the pressure of having to do this and having to do that. But it's been a lot of fun, and I'm greatly rewarded personally for doing this. And I kind of honor my parents. Sometimes I think about that, how this whole thing started. It's all because they were in a senior community. So it's been fun. It's a great experience.
Sounds like it's a wonderful experience, and you named a lot of great positivity that comes from it. And one of my favorite things that you just said, Dennis, that I wanted to reiterate to our viewers is the fact that the activity director does not have to be solely responsible for this. I know that's a huge challenge right now as we are in a staffing crisis, and many of our activity directors may feel a little bit overwhelmed with doing this, because it takes a little bit of work. And I think even if, you don't have residents that maybe feel that they want to take that over, you could always have another staff member in any department maybe come in and help with that. Maybe the housekeepers were looking for something that would be exciting for them to help with in the activity department. That's the neat thing about the program in general, with activities and social engagement, is that the community is entirely responsible for that, not just one person. And so really getting the community involved in such a great organization like NSL would be really a lot of fun. And I know you're starting. Yeah, go ahead.
When I started this, I envisioned this being like a Friday night bowling league over cocktails in the senior community. And it kind of hasn't worked out that way, because the bowlers are quite serious about this, most of them. Yeah. So they have a particular time that they play, and the cocktail parties went away. But what's also rewarding in this is that we have bowlers in wheelchairs. We have had bowlers that have been blind, and they get somebody to line them up, and they bowl in the league. Had several, more than 10, I'd say, bowlers that are over 100 years old that have bowled. Currently, I think there's one that's 103 that's bowling in the league. Our big bowlers come from the senior centers. They seem to take wee bowling a little bit more seriously. Most of our teams are CCRCs, are independent living. I always use the wrong terminology here, but public housing, and now I think it's all called senior living, is a big market for us. Anybody can do this. I might also add, and this might be a question you have later, but I'd like someday to do a father-son, or a parent-child, I should say, or a parent-grandchild, which would more enhance or entitle the seniors to get involved in it. Might do that in the summertime. We're also looking at doing a league for Special Olympic athletes. I don't know if that touches your territory or not, but trying to expand, getting more people involved, and make sure that eventually we get into the international market. I would also like to do, I don't know if I talked to you about this in the past, I don't think so, but there's so much content necessary for television now, either on the internet channels or on the cable channels. And there's a lot of sports on there that nobody's ever seen, including me, and I'm a big athlete and I watch all this stuff on TV. But I think I think I can create a league that can get some television coverage. And if you cut the show into 30 minutes and you do eight different shows, an 8-week show, you can show a lot of seniors. And the story's not necessarily about wee bowling, it's about the lives of seniors and what they have learned in their life. They tell their own story. And I'm a senior myself, so obviously, so I think there's so much goodness about being a senior that we haven't even touched on yet. And I think your organization, the people in it, recognize that and try and get the seniors to recognize that there's still a lot to do in life. And wee bowling happens to be one of them, but there's a lot of other things they can do that make them feel good. I stay busy. I don't even understand people that retire, but that's just.
I think that's great. You know what? And the thing is that I know a lot of our activity directors and communities are struggling with right now is finding something that would get the resident to leave their room, because they've been in their rooms for so long and they want something new, they want something exciting, and NSL is just that. So tell us, how can we learn more? Where can we go to learn more about how to join
Well,
and be a part of it?
I'm open for business 24/7. I prefer people call me and talk to me about it.
Okay.
I don't know. Can I leave my number here?
Yeah, if you are willing to do that, tell us your number. I'll write it down.
435-714-9491. Can also visit the website, which is nslgames.com. And I keep that up fairly well. But it has all the rules, regulations. One thing that disappoints me is seniors don't like to take pictures and see them online. And I would like to have more people showing themselves Wii bowling.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think that would be great. Yeah. Well, let's get going. Let's get the revolution moving. And I know, Dennis, you're looking at potentially being at our annual conference April 5th through the 8th and be there to meet with our activity professionals in Bloomington, Minnesota. We would love to have you there so that we could talk more with you about it and learn more about how to get our residents involved. Do you have a new league starting? Or is there a new league starting soon?
Yeah, good question. Thanks for bringing that up. February 19th, we start another 10-week season, and registration's open online. And I say register online or give me a call and I'll help you register and tell you all about it. But yeah, it's a 10-week league. We run two leagues every year, one in the spring and one in the fall.
Yep.
And it's fun.
Next season begins on February 19th. I love it.
19th. Yeah, it's the week of, we always say. So they have a week to bowl. They post their scores Thursday night, and Friday they get the results. So
awesome.
Good. Well, it's fun.
Yeah, it sounds great. Dennis, is there anything else you would like to share with us? Any final words of wisdom that you want to leave with us?
Help me grow the league. I need for activity directors, especially those that are bowling already, to tell their friends about the NSL. I don't think it takes time and money to market around the states. And I know I put some ads out and you guys do a good job putting them out, but I need to do a lot better job with that. And if anybody's online and they're in the PR business or the advertising business, I can use the help of getting the word out. That's the important thing here. The program that we run works really well. It's simple and it's easy to follow. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. And you said something very important in my philosophy is to get your residents involved in helping administer the league so that the activity director doesn't have to put all the time and effort into it.
Yeah.
So that's about it, Elisa.
Well, awesome. Dennis, I want to thank you so much for your time. And if you want to learn more about NSL or Dennis, you can certainly refer to the website or their phone number that has been listed in the chat box. And let's get leagues registered. Let's get your team registered for the upcoming season on February 19th. All right. Thank you so much, Dennis. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you to everybody who viewed today. We will be back at it again with our next Facebook Live in just a couple of weeks. In the meantime, I encourage you all to stay safe and stay sane and have a fabulous rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
All right.